Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cass Jerome and today we are going to be going through my eyeshadow palette collection. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I don't know how many, I have not counted, and I've also gotten rid of probably hundreds of them over the last couple years, but I think the ones I have in my collection now are ones that I really love, so I wanted to share them with you. Before I get into this video, I'm going to address the inevitable comments of who needs this much makeup? Why do you need this much makeup? This is a waste. And I completely agree with you. It is too much makeup for one person and it's excessive. But on the other hand, I am a full-time content creator. I do Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I do it all. So this is kind of the tools that I need to do my job. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the majority of my collection is definitely Colourpop, so I'm gonna start with that. Okay, we're gonna start off with one of my favorite palettes of all time, the Fade into Hue palette. As you can see, it is disgusting. I have traveled with this, I have used this. I think this palette won like an award. I think it was like an Allure award, but it's perfect, obviously. The next one I have is this So Jaded Kathleen Lights X Colourpop collab. This used to be my favorite Colourpop palette, rightfully so because it is gorgeous. So this was the first mega palette that I ever got. It's the Gone Matte palette, and it is quite literally just a matte palette. I actually lied, I think this is the first one I got. I'm also so sorry, these are disgusting. This is the first mega palette that I got. Honestly, such a beautiful palette, so versatile. Everyone needs that in their collection. As a response to the Bare Necessities palette, they made the Stone Cold Fox palette, which is just cool tones, which I absolutely love. I haven't got to play with this one very much, but I love it. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. The It's a Mood palette. I am absolutely obsessed with this one. It's so colorful and so pretty. It just like reminds me of like vacation. I feel like this would be like perfect to take on like a European vacation. The next one we have is the Smoke and Roses palette. This is everything. This is absolutely everything. If you are a pink eyeshadow fanatic, this is the one that you want. This actually might be one of my favorite palettes of all time. I honestly, it really like stole my heart when I opened this package. It is the Matte About Hue palette. Oh my god. Stunning. Stunning. And the fact that you have like the whole color story here is, it's just beautiful. Like I am obsessed with this. I really hope they do like a shimmer About Hue palette, which is just the same colors but shimmer. That would be iconic. I have a bunch of palettes that I kind of deemed the rainbow palettes. I'm gonna be showing you all of these in like a color coordinated fashion just so we can keep everything kind of coherent. When this palette came out, everyone was losing their minds, and rightfully so because it is so beautiful. This palette for fall, yes. This is one of their newer releases, and honestly, like, I do love it. I do love it. The packaging is everything. Now, if they came out with like a Sharpay exclusive palette, I would pay good money for that. This one is a must for anyone collecting eyeshadow palettes, in my opinion. I love this palette. It's so pretty. You have all of the princesses here. Stunning. This one was also one of my favorite releases as a avid Avatar stan. I feel like the color story is simple enough. You have your neutrals, you have those really pretty blue shades. I feel like that is what my eye is kind of drawn to the most. Another adorable collab palette. These are so pretty and springy. This palette is kind of an OG palette. It's the She's the Rainbow palette. And I don't know if you guys remember when they used to do these palettes where you can remove, it's like all magnetic and you can remove the shades, but I was obsessed with this. I've used this so much. This is one of their newer releases too. It's the Bon Voyage BT21 palette. This is a really cute pastel rainbow one. Very shimmer heavy, so if that's what you're into, I feel like this is an amazing palette for that. Pink is by far probably my most worn color, so I have definitely kept probably every single pink palette, lipstick, whatever that has come my way. It's gonna be hard to pry that out of my hands. So forgive me, there's a lot. The first one I have is this Blush Crush palette. I am obsessed with anything that looks like this. This is such a good one for travel too because of the cardboard. I feel like it's just easy to throw in a bag and go. I feel like this was part of the iconic 9-pan palettes that they did like a couple years ago. Wow, wow. This is, it reminds me of cotton candy. I think this one might be broken. Oh. Okay, so this was like one of the first Colourpop eyeshadow palettes I ever got, and even though 3 of the shades are missing, I can't seem to part with it.
It's gonna be hard to pry that out of my hands.
The next one I have is this Glam Right palette. I don't think I've ever used this one before. Very pretty, like a little bit like in between the ones that I showed you before. It's like more on like the mauve side. Next we have this Valentine Collection. This one's very cute too. I feel like it's also another one of those palettes that you can take on the go. The Hello Kitty and Friends collab. This one's so cute. My favorite is this one. It's so gorgeous. Oh my god. Like, don't look at that. This one is absolutely also broken, I know for a fact, and it's the Strawberry Shake palette. It's so cute. Anything that has strawberries on it, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna keep it.
Out of my hands.
Even if it's broken, I don't care. Oh, it's worse than I remember. Still keeping it though. This one is the By the Rosé palette. It's like a champagne-y pink. Next we have the Fine Feathered palette. I am a sucker for like any palette that has a pink that is this shade. If this is included in any palette, I'm gonna get it. This one is a personal favorite, mainly because Lizzie McGuire is what half my personality is based off of. And also because I helped promote this palette when it came out on Colourpop's Instagram. Like I said, yeah. Oh my god. Colourpop comes with the pigmentation. This next one is similar to the last. It's also a collab, the Malibu Barbie, holy shit. It's the Malibu Barbie collection. This one is really, really pretty too. Sparkle on it. Okay, Menage Moi. Obviously, anyone who likes pink needs this. This is such a gorgeous palette. How many times am I gonna say I'm obsessed? I love this in this video. Sorry. I'm running out of adjectives. I feel like I need to like pull up like thesaurus.com or something. So next we're gonna move on to my Purpley palette. This is another palette I actually worked with Colourpop on. You can see me do a crazy, like, I think it's like a 1 minute like eye look challenge on their YouTube. I'll link it in the cards right now, but this one is great. I am not much of an athlete, I will say, but you know, Los Angeles. I don't even live in LA. I live like an hour away from LA. It doesn't matter. It's a great palette. I love it. This one is such an iconic palette. I think we've all seen this one. If you haven't seen this one, now you have. It's so pretty. I am obsessed with this color story. And when this palette came out, this was kind of like my favorite color combo. Just more of like the pastel-y blues and pinks. The Lilac You A Lot palette is also stunning. This is the palette that I kind of grab if I want to do a really vibrant purple look. The next one is the Orchid You Not palette. This is the one I reach for when I do like darker purpley looks. I feel like if you are a purple lover, this is the one to get. It's so pretty. You have such a good variety of shimmers and mattes. I feel like you can do a lot of color combos with this. This one I actually just received, the All Amethyst palette. I like it. I feel like I would probably reach for like this shade or like this shade here. The rest of it, I have it. It's good, it's fine. So next we're gonna look at some of my gold palettes. The first one we have is Charm School. This one is stunning. Is it all gold? No. I probably should have started out with this one, Good as Gold. I have reached for this palette a lot, as you can probably see. The formulas on this one is really good. The one that is called, this one, O Team. It's kind of like a gelatinous consistency. I think it's a jelly much shadow. That's like one of my favorite formulations they have. The rest of them I think are just powders, but such a good one too if you can get your hands on this one. I have used this one a lot. Next we're moving on to more of the orangey tones. This palette actually was discontinued by Colourpop, so you can't get it. I don't actually even know if it was sold. I haven't really used it, mostly because I feel like if they discontinued the product, I really don't have any interest in like promoting it on my Instagram or anything. I'm fine having it in my collection as a relic, but that's about it. Coast to Coral is our next palette. This is such a pretty palette. I haven't used this yet. It was actually buried kind of deep in my collection, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this video, because I will definitely be reaching for this during the fall. This one is a recent palette too, Bling Time. A standard like neutral palette, very warm coppery tones. I love this one. Baby Got Peach was the first orange palette I got from Colourpop. I think I've used this shade before. I honestly don't even think I've used any of the rest of these. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Orange You Glad. This one is so old too. This one I have used actually quite a bit. This is a throwback. This palette is pretty old, I think. I don't even think they do packaging like this anymore, but this is the California Love palette. I've used this a couple times. As I said, neutrals are like not really my go-to all the time, but it's a great palette. I love having it in my collection. Okay, this is not really a color category, but we're gonna move on to something a little spooky. I have my Halloween palettes that I'm gonna share with you guys. So the first one is Colourpop's collaboration with The Nightmare Before Christmas. This packaging honestly blew me away when I opened this. I have a pretty heavy duty mirror. Oh my god, stunning. So pretty. I have two of these palettes. I think this is the one that I haven't touched. The next one I have is the Hocus Pocus Witching Hour collab. This one I have not used yet. It's gorgeous. I think these two shades here, Twist the Bones and Circle of Salt, are so Halloween-y. Definitely will be using this year. This is also another Hocus Pocus collection that Colourpop did. I have used this one and I love this palette. I think I would prefer this one to the other one. We have the girls here. I'm moving on to some of my red tone palettes. This is the one I always reach for when I do a red look. I feel like maybe some of the colors look a little bit like muddy on my skin tone, but all of the shimmers look great. And for the most part, if I kind of work correctly with it, it doesn't look too bad. This palette, I think it's called All That. I don't think it's called All That. Oh, it's called All That and Then Some. This palette I've tried to use, and the first issue that I was having is that the red was so powdery. I don't know if you can tell, but it got all over the other colors and I had to clean it all up and it was kind of a mess. This shade, Infatuation, I really wanted this to work but it looked kind of bad. It was from a while ago. I feel like they've done a lot better with their glitter formulas as of recently. Moving on to my green palettes. The first I have is In the Limelight. I'm gonna be honest with you, it is a great green palette. If you like green, it's great, but honestly when I received this, I wasn't really sure of the color story, like this random purple. The pinks are fine, they look nice, they look like they would go well with everything, but I don't know. I mean, I have it because I have it, but I would not, I don't think I would purchase it with my own money. This next one though, I love a lot. It is the Aura and Out palette. Honestly, another really iconic one. Like this really like reminds me of like fairy core vibes. Even just like the holographic like names for the palette. Stunning, stunning. I love it. Next we have the Sparkle Little Magic palette. This is the Tinkerbell collab. This one I really liked too. I've used a lot of the green shimmers in this palette and they worked really, really well. They were very creamy, they were very soft to work with. There was a lot of fallout, but that is expected with shadows of this consistency. I will say though, every time I pick this up, my hands get super glittery because the glitter from the palette just goes everywhere. We have the Mandalorian, the Child palette. This one is also one that is very near and dear to my heart because I helped promote this palette as well on Colourpop's YouTube channel. I think I have multiples of this one too, so it doesn't look super used, but the other one that I have, I've used a lot. I was very excited when this palette came out, the Lush Life palette. I didn't see a lot of people talk about this. As you can see, I really liked the blue. I had a lot of the other shades in other palettes, so I don't think I like reached for that. This is a newer palette. It's called On the List. It's not another one of those palettes that I just am not really a fan of. I don't really like the color story. It looks very bland to me. I think that maybe there is like a market for a type of person that would like this palette. I believe it's called On the List because it's an Ulta exclusive eyeshadow palette, so that's kind of cool, but I just don't really think I would get any use of this palette, so this might end up leaving my collection sometime soon. The next one I have is the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer collab. Haven't touched this one. I like it. I mean, it's nice, but I don't really think it screams Christmas to me, so I never really pulled this out around December. I think the packaging is adorable. We're gonna move on to some of my blue palettes. The first one I have is this Baroque palette. I love this one. It reminds me of just like denim blue jeans. I really adore the color story of this one. I want to do a lot more looks with this. I think I have used it a little bit. I remember really liking the formulation of this palette, but I do need to test this one out a little bit more. This next palette I was also really excited to receive. It's the High Tide palette. I love this color story. I'm not a huge like fan of teal or like Tiffany blue. I don't know what you would call this. It's a little bit too like green tone to be Tiffany blue. Maybe this is Tiffany blue. But I really, really like this color story. I haven't yet had a use for this. I haven't really reached for this, but I would like to do a look using this palette. I think this is their summertime palette. I actually really love this palette. I really like that it's like orange heavy, and I like the blues in this palette a lot. I like that they give us kind of a variety of blues and maybe like one or two neutrals. That's enough. That's enough. You need like two neutrals at most in a palette. That's all we need. Moving on, I have my black palettes. This one is a classic. It's the Blow and Smoke palette. If you don't have this one, I really, really recommend it. I've used this many times for a lot of different looks. I remember I did like a full body Marceline look where I painted myself completely gray, and I used a lot of these shades to contour my face, but you don't really need a lot. I've used it a lot, and I feel like you can't even tell. and it's because you just really need a little. A little goes a long way. But yeah, definitely recommend this one for your collection. The next one I have is the new Star Wars palette. This palette is amazing. I mean, come on. Like, we are looking at it, we know, we can see. It's stunning. I actually did like a whole makeup tutorial with this palette on their channel, so I'll also link that in the cards and in the description. I feel like this palette really encompasses A New Hope perfectly. I feel like the color story is incredible and definitely very versatile. You have the appropriate amount of neutrals, and then you have your pops of color, and these tie-dye shadows are awesome. This one's really cool. It has like reflects of black and red and gray. I think that maybe the second one is my favorite. I really like that blue reflect. Okay, next we're moving on to some of my more neutral palettes. They're kind of more brown centric than anything else. I have not used a lot of these, but I find that they're very useful to have in my collection because every now and then if I need something, I do pull from a lot of them, so you will see, you will see. Going Coconut is probably my favorite brown palette ever. This came out before the mega palettes that have all of the brown shades in them, and I used to come to this one a lot. I don't know why, it's like melted. The next one I have is Nude Mood. This one is also very, very pretty. If you're looking for a warm tone palette that's easy to travel with, this one is definitely it. I haven't touched this one, but I'm willing to bet that it's good. This next one is called Roaring Hearts. It was kind of like, it was giving Gatsby, it was giving New Year's, it's giving throwing a party and whatnot. I find the color story to be quite boring personally. This is also one of those palettes I think might leave my collection eventually. The Wild Nothing palette. I haven't looked at this palette in a really long time. I like this palette. I feel like the colors are very subdued, and there are days that I like a nice subdued palette and a nice subdued look, and I definitely would use this. I would also say that maybe this would not look super flattering on a lot of skin tones, and I don't know how beginner friendly this is because the colors are so light. It's good for what it is, but you know. The Lust for Dust palette. I don't think I've even opened this palette since receiving it. I have absolutely no recollection of any of this. So I think this one might leave too. I think all of the palettes that I'm not going to keep and the ones that I haven't used, I think I'm just going to do a little giveaway at the end of this video. So if you guys want these, stay tuned to the end and I will give them to you. This palette was also one of these magnetic palettes. This was one of the OG palettes that I got back in the day. I feel like this would be really good to have in a makeup kit just because it has like such a good wide range of colors. For me personally, I have not really gotten a lot of use out of this, so I don't know. So these three palettes are my last big palettes from Colourpop. They were kind of scattered around, so they didn't really have a category, but I'm gonna show you anyway. This is the Making Mauves palette. I feel like the color story is great. I don't know if I'll be keeping this because I feel like a lot of these shades wouldn't necessarily show up on my skin tone. This one is called Lock It Down. This is also a new one that I got. I remember this one. Like I said, purple, pink, my favorite color combos. So this one is definitely staying in my collection. I absolutely love these shades. This palette was a new one too, Sweet as Can Be. It's the Winnie the Pooh collection. I haven't actually used this one yet either. I absolutely love the color story. I feel like it screams Winnie the Pooh. I love that it's like very subdued and very sweet. I feel like this is exactly what I would have envisioned if I made a Winnie the Pooh palette. So 10 out of 10 for that. I have a lot of these like little quads from Colourpop, but I think I might get rid of a majority of them. I am keeping two collections, and those are the Hello Kitty and the Animal Crossing collection. This one is the Teeny Keeny quad. So cute for the summer. This one is the Cocoa Cutie Quad. Love this one too. I feel like these quads are curated really well. I love the color story so far. This is the Cherry Sweet Quad. Wow, honestly, this one is my favorite. This is gorgeous. I feel like I definitely have to do a look using this. And then we have the Pineapple Cake one. Wow, honestly, this collection is so cute and so stunning. I feel like we need to just look at this like next to each other. If this was one palette, honestly, I would not have been mad. I am an avid Animal Crossing player. I continued playing it after Animal Crossing got boring for everyone. I bought the DLC. So when this collection came out, I was so excited. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. This is the Nook Ink Quad. I feel like these colors are very classic Animal Crossing. All of like the Animal Crossing items are vaguely this color. Next we have 5 Star Island with little Isabelle on the front and inside. This one's really cute too. I feel like this fits her color story perfectly. I absolutely love it. I like this color combo too. I love a good yellow and pink moment. Next we have What a Hoot. Honestly, this one was a little bit disappointing to me just because Celeste was on the cover and I feel like she wasn't really represented in this quad very well. Okay, that was all of my Colourpop palettes. If you can imagine, we still have more to go through. Okay, so the first palette we have is the Carnival palette from Yuma. I am obsessed with this palette. This palette is amazing. I feel like I was not expecting to like it so much, but I think I like it so much because the formula is incredible. This brown shade and this gold foil shade is amazing. I can't explain to you how well these colors blend together. It's like literally like butter. This is a great palette, one of my favorites of this year, honestly. Next, I have these 2 MAC palettes. I've only used this one so far and it's called Flamboyant. I was so excited to get this in PR, mainly because it's MAC. Come on, it was a milestone for me. It was very exciting. And also because MAC shadows, like the individual ones, are so iconic, and to have them in a palette was kind of extremely exciting for me. These are absolutely beautiful. I don't need to tell anyone about MAC quality. We all know how amazing MAC is. But yeah, such a great palette. I would definitely recommend picking this up if this piques your interest and if this color story is something that you're interested in. This next one is called It's Designer, and it is the colorful sister of the last palette. I absolutely adore this color story. I love that blue. I love the neons on top. This is definitely a palette that I am going to get a lot of use out of, I am sure. They have MAC Carbon on the bottom here, which is a very standard black shadow for me, and it always has been, so it's really cool to have that in a palette. Next, I have the Make It Black palette by Morphe, and this was a palette they released for Black History Month, I believe. I've actually dipped into this palette quite a lot as well. I do like it. I like it a lot. I think that my issue with this again is that there's so many neutrals, so I don't end up like reaching for it a ton. The next Morphe palette I have is the Avani Greg palette. This palette was like kind of iconic. It is so visually stunning. When this came out, I was really hoping that I would get this, and I was really excited when this ended up at my doorstep. So all of these on the top are regular shadows, and these smaller ones on the bottom are water-activated liners. I think that's honestly genius, and I really hope that Morphe comes out with more palettes like this because I absolutely love this concept. Next, I have the Mickey and Friends Truth Be Bold Morphe palette. I was actually privileged enough to go to the Morphe store when this palette was released, to a little release party that they had. I feel like it's one of those palettes that you're not going to not use if you get it. It has all of the colors that you would really want, and it doesn't have a lot of neutrals, which I enjoy. The last Morphe palette I have is the Nikita palette. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have not touched this palette. I feel like I have all of these shades in all of my other palettes, so I just haven't really gotten to using this one yet. The next palette I have is the Naked Urban Decay Wild West palette. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is just one of those other palettes that I have literally forgotten about, but I do really like it. I feel like the grip the Naked format has on me and everyone else in the world is ridiculous. I do like the color story. I feel like I gravitate more towards like this end than really this end. I feel like I can't really even use these shades that much. I love the packaging. I am a sucker for it, so it's cute. Next I have the Naked Urban Decay Cyber palette. But I was also like very disappointed when I opened the palette because like this is like crazy and wild and this is like a little subdued, you know? Like the boldest color in here is this one, which is like kind of shocking. Next I have this little baby Naked Urban Decay palette. It's just this little guy. I feel like this is cute. I like this one more than the other palettes because I feel like I can take it to go somewhere and it's a very neutral eye look that I could make. Next we have this very unique Tarte palette. I actually have not used this one yet because it was hidden. It was hidden in my drawer, and I'm very excited because I love a good gimmick, you know? I already am in love with this. I know I said I don't like a neutral, but there's just something so pretty about these shades. Okay. Ooh. Wow. Wow. The gimmick has completely sold me. Oh my god, look at that. Wow. This is cool. The next one is the Tartlet in Bloom palette. I absolutely adore this palette. I know it wouldn't seem like I would like this palette because I've complained about every other palette that looks like that, but the shimmers in this palette go off. This next one is the Tartlet palette in Juicy. This one, you're gonna need this one. You're definitely gonna need this one. I have this little guy by Kaja. I just got this one and I am it's so cute. First of all, this looks intense. Also beautiful. I love a peach shimmer. And then we have a matte peach shade. This is so cute. These next two are like, I think 2 out of the 3 luxury palettes that I have. They're like kind of lame, so I'm sorry. But I'm not like huge on luxury brands. I feel like once I'm a little bit older, maybe I would gravitate to that a little bit more. But for now, I'm kind of okay with just like the mid-range drugstore makeup situation type deal. So I have this Natasha Denona palette. She's obviously iconic. I got this, I think, in like an Ipsy box. It's the Jubilee palette. I have never used any of these, and honestly, I've been wanting to because I know that she's like incredible and her eyeshadows are amazing, but honestly, I don't know what to do with this. Like, this is really all over the place, and I don't know. Any suggestions would be really welcome because I don't know what they were thinking with this one. Next, I have this Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow palette. It's the Super Nudes Easy Eyeshadow Palette. She's normal. I believe that this is the makeup palette that Britney Spears used for her wedding, and that is solely kind of the reason why I have this, because I really want to recreate that. Next, I have a few of these Huda Beauty palettes. This is the Color Block palette in blue and green. I really like these two. Similarly to the Avani palette, they have activated liners in this too, which I think is honestly genius. I think out of the two, I really like this color story the most. It's the orange and purple Color Block Obsessions. Haven't used it yet, but definitely will because this is sick. I just got this one in the mail. It's the Love Fest Huda Beauty palette. I don't necessarily use a lot of these colors every day, but I think that I could definitely get use out of this palette. I was expecting it to have a little bit more pink in it, but I'm not mad. I forgot to mention this palette when I talked about the larger Morphe palette. This is the Mini Artistry palette. Obviously it's Mickey themed, which is very, very cute. If you're a Disney fan, this is definitely one to collect. Next, I have a couple Hip Dot shadows. This is the Hello Kitty Hip Dot collection. Very, very cute off the bat. I really love that the pans are massive. I also really like that all of the shadows have a little Hello Kitty printed on it. I haven't used it, and it's mainly because it's so cute. I don't want to ruin it. I was so intrigued by this palette when it came in the mail. Another one I haven't used because I'm so in love with the printing on them. It's so, so pretty. It reminds me, it's giving fairy core. The last Hip Dot palette I have is their Spongebob Bikini Bottom palette. As an avid Spongebob fan, this was exciting to get. I feel like I can definitely see the characters reflected in this. Love the yellows, obviously. The color story is cute, but it's definitely not one that I'm super gravitated towards. It also does this, which like, I'm trying to like, oh. These palettes are my pride and joy. I absolutely love these palettes, and the creator of these palettes have sent me all of these, which is so, so sweet. It is the Claro Psyche collection. Psyche's box, this is probably one of the first eyeshadow palettes I ever actually owned, and she is very well loved. I have used every single shadow in this, and I absolutely love this. If you take away anything from this video, you need these three palettes. They are amazing. The color story is great. I feel like you can use all of these in so many different ways. This one, the reason she's looking so janky is because I used to use it as blush all the time, and it was beautiful. The next Claro Psyche palette I have is the Butterfly palette. I believe this is the newest one that's come out. I haven't even touched this one yet. It is so stunning though. She does such a good job with her matte shadows. The formula does have a little bit of fallout, but it's so pigmented and the shades are so like bright and bold. I feel like, I mean, it's an amazing trade-off. The next palette I have is the Real Fantasy palette. This one is also really beautiful. This was the first shimmer formulation that I tried by her. I really liked it. This color story doesn't speak to me as much, but I do really like the vibe. The next palette I have is the Juvia's Place, the Masquerade Mini palette. I literally bought this eyeshadow palette when I had like maybe like $50 in my bank account. I needed this palette when it came out. Everyone was raving about it. They said it was like the most pigmented palette that they've ever tried. And honestly, they were right. They were absolutely right. I have not used a lot of this because I got this palette when I was really inexperienced with makeup and I didn't really understand like how to use these shadows, and unfortunately they're like a little dried up now because they are so old. But I love it. If I would have known how to use makeup when I got it, I probably would have loved it even more. So next I have the, I think the only palette that I've actually purchased myself out of everything that I've shown you so far, and it is the most expensive palette that I have. It is the Pat McGrath Labs Mothership Palette Celestial Divinity palette. Yeah, I literally gave a limb for this. This was really expensive. It's really dirty. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, so I feel like I don't want to say I don't like it because I don't know if I'm just like using it wrong. I feel like I need to use it more. I like get so scared because every single time I've used this, it's not worked out for me. And I don't know if it's because this formula isn't as good as the other ones or because I'm inexperienced. So you can't buy this anymore. It was limited edition, so it's not even gonna be a problem. You can't get it. But I like looking at it. It's pretty. If you can believe it, we are at the last eyeshadow palette, and it is the Billie Beauty Eyes of India eyeshadow palette. This was also one of the first eyeshadow palettes I owned. I got this many years ago. I absolutely love this palette and I used it a lot when I first got it. The shadows are a little dry now, but I of course had to keep it because I love Billie Beauty and I love what they stand for, and obviously the packaging is gorgeous. That was a lot. That was a lot more than I thought it would be. I have more eyeshadow, by the way. I have like little like individual eyeshadows. If you guys want to see a video of my collection of that, I would absolutely love to film that and share that with you, but I thought it would be a little bit much to put in this video. I think I would really like to do a lipstick collection video where I swatch like the 200 lipsticks that I have. If you want to see that, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far. If you got this far, feel free to leave the eyes emoji, like the one that goes like this, in the comments below because I would love to know who reached the end of this video. That's crazy. If you comment the eyes emoji, you will be automatically enrolled in my giveaway where I will be giving away all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have not used in my collection and that I don't want anymore. I think there are probably like 6 or 7 of them that I didn't want, but we'll round it up to 10. We'll have 10 winners. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I will see you next time.